What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Unsolicited with Sam and Jordyn. I am Sam. This is Jordyn. And Jordyn just finished Onyx Storm. Oh, you know what? Let me get my book. Just finished Onyx Storm a mere moments ago, to the point where she just hopped on and she was just like, let's begin. So here we are. Girly pop.
I am so overwhelmed right now. Guys, you don't understand. I was crying.
Yeah, she was just like, I have to fix up my mascara.
Yeah. Oh, I just took my makeup off and dried my face.
Oh,
like,
good.
I have no makeup on because whatever was left, I just sobbed off at the end of this book.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Guys, clearly, spoilers. If you don't know already, we are going into everything. So initially, I have a question for you. Initially, before Onyx Storm came out, you said you didn't understand how the series was going to be 5 books. Yes. How did you feel after finishing Onyx Storm?
That there will be 5 books.
Yes.
For sure. No, I definitely I knew that she was going to set something up, obviously, in order to continue on the story. And I think that it's not even just the way the book ended. I think that there was a lot of things set up throughout the progression of the book, not only with Violet and Xaden, but with other characters as well. So it's definitely when did you cry? Apart from the end of the book, because there's another point where I cried, and I'm interested to see if it was the same time.
Mira.
Oh, Mira.
And then when Adorna just shows up.
Yeah. I got very anxious about Mira. And honestly, I'm still a little anxious about Mira because I know that we've healed her and she's supposed to be okay. Didn't see her again.
I'm honestly mad at myself that I started this series already, because the fact that we have to wait 2 years,
You flew through this series, by the way.
Yeah, I started it. Yeah, I've a month and a half with a book in between.
It's pretty good.
It was very easy. It was very easy fantasy. I literally just finished this, so there is I have processed quite literally nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm still unsure. By next episode, I'll have an actual consensus. I'm unsure of how I felt about this book as a whole. To me, this feels, which if it's going to be a 5-book series, you have to have it. But the whole first half of this book to me feels like it didn't have to happen.
There was also, and I thought that, and yeah, so since you just finished it, now I can send you all of the reels that I have saved in terms of theories and everything, because I process a lot, especially in books that are this dense and series that are this dense, on social media, because people will share their thoughts and feelings on it. And then I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And then, things along those lines. But the beginning of this book, I was like, where the fuck are we right now? Who are these people? What is going on? And I was like, I feel dumb, even though I watched 4 hours worth of YouTube in order to make sure that I was prepared for it. And then I went on social media and everybody was like, who the fuck is Llewellyn?
Yes.
Who is he? Don't know. Still not entirely sure. I know he fostered Xaden and Liam, and that's the extent. But he's also a place. But the people are named after the place that I'm still lost about it.
There was Cordrin and Courtland. I was like, what? And then at one point they were on Violet's mission, and they were going to all these places, and they would show up and they'd be like, you're all gonna die. And I was like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah.
And I didn't even know, it felt very messy. I don't know if that's just because, again, I'm processing it, or if it was just actually messy.
No, it definitely, even after time where I finished this, oh shit, a week and a half ago-ish, right? Yeah. So about 10 days ago I finished this. And I'm still still trying to figure out a few things.
Okay.
And I think that there was some unnecessary parts of this book that like for example, the end, which I know you just flew through, but the Imogen and Rhiannon chapters,
Yes.
not really necessary. This is where I cried the most, is when Quinn died.
Yes.
And I honestly, as it's even happening, I'm like, I don't even remember who Quinn really is.
I was thinking the same thing.
I know like Quinn is a character and that she was like, a side character in like their group. But like as Imogen is like holding her as she's dying, I'm like sobbing. So I'm like, she's losing her friend.
I was like, this girl Quinn has probably said 3
Forward.
lines this
Yeah.
entire book, and I'm distraught. And it was so funny because I said that to you. Wait, I forget who we were talking about. Who died? Who else died? Where I was like, this killed me.
Oh, Traeger.
Traeger!
When he gets shot with the arrow.
That was fucking insane.
Yeah.
But I said, I was like, Rebecca Yarros gets you very attached to like even the side characters in this book. And that's something we talked about. I think it was right after I finished Fourth Wing, just like the first one, and was like, I could tell this is her first fantasy, but she writes characters very well. Like her relationship building is phenomenal. However, the fantasy world building is a little overwhelming for me. It was a lot. And honestly, I have a feeling this series is gonna, like I said, I have a feeling this is setting up the last 2 books of the series, which I get. But like in hindsight, could this have been a novella with just the second half? Yes, because I also texted you and said Violet is getting on my every her and Xaden. I was like, can you just shut the fuck up?
No, literally. Riddick was my favorite character in this book. I think he has been the voice of reason, but in this book specifically, like he was written in a lot more. Like I would say like Rhiannon was not in this book as much, but Riddick was, as opposed to the previous 2 books. And like he was the only one who was just like, bitch, what the fuck?
Yes.
And like I'm like, you know what? You're right.
Their moment where it was like just the 2 of them, I was like, I loved that scene so much.
Yes. I also just loved, like, in terms of like a small thing, how like it was just kind of peppered in that Riddick is bisexual.
Yeah.
Like they were just like, here you go.
I noticed that there was another character. There are so many fucking characters. I'm not going to be able to remember who it was, but there's also a character in this book that goes by they, them pronouns. I noticed.
Oh, I don't think I even realized
because
that.
they kept saying there, and it would be like hers and theirs. And I was like, ooh, fun. I like this. I support this.
Oh, I don't think I even realized that.
It was very subtle and it took me a minute, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I completely misinterpreted, but again, my brain. There is so much to discuss. Let's just focus on the ending.
Yes.
Because I'm very confused.
Right. Okay. So I was also confused. If a few things to clear in the air that I didn't notice, and maybe you didn't notice as well.
Tell me.
So what happened was, Imogen has wiped Violet's memory.
Yes.
And basically, obviously we've been ripped of yet another wedding. Sarah J. Maas took that wedding away from us. Rebecca Yarros is taking this wedding away from us. And so they get married, and we're not clear on who Xaden's new brother is yet.
Yeah,
that is a cliffhanger.
Did I miss a page? Like,
No.
I was like, what brother?
No, so in terms of the fact that another Venom has been created.
Yes.
And I think it's Bodhi, because I think that Xaden married Violet, because this whole time they're talking about like Bodhi's the next in line, Bodhi's the next in line, Bodhi's the next in line. And if Bodhi was the next in line, why the hell would Violet need to be put in charge of Trinidor? So like that's what like really made me like, what the fuck? Erin is convinced it's Garrick. So there's a lot of different theories on who. I love Garrick. But there's like all these different theories on who the brother is, and like we also don't know whether or not Imogen has wiped Xaden's memory as well. That is up in the air. We don't know what's going on there.
So there are 12 hours where Violet was aware that she married Xaden.
Right.
And then Imogen took them away.
Yes. Yes. And so we're trying to figure out what happened in those 12 hours. And then there's like all this other stuff that's still just kind of like
Pancheck?
Oh, yeah, the fuck? Like that was just like, here, have that too. He's a traitor. And I'm like,
that's what was so overwhelming, especially with the fucking, as you already mentioned, the two random I was like, I don't care. Like, what the and like they were good chapters. Like, I'm honestly probably gonna go back tomorrow and like read the last like 50 pages. Because they were written beautifully and like but like just the juxtaposition of everything. I was like, and it was like this person dying, that person's a traitor, Darna's showing up, like all these, and I was like,
it was not the best time to have a brand new narrator.
Yes.
In this book, let alone two back-to-back brand new narrators. If that was like in the middle of the book, or like we got like a Mira chapter while they're you know in the Isles or something, that would be fun. But like, okay, Imogen, I get we wanted to see her and like Quinn dying, and they wanted to make that emotional. I kind of get that. And then also they're sprinkling in the fact that all of the I forget what they call them, but like all of the kids that were in the rebellion, or they're the children of the rebellion, whatever. They all have second signets.
The marked ones.
The marked ones, that's what they're called. So like they all have second signets, and we're like slowly figuring out as we're going that they have additional powers. And like I think that was part of it too. And I want to hear your opinion on Dane at the end of this book. I'm kind of obsessed with him now because he was just like, we're talking about that later. He's like realizing everyone has second signets, and he's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yes. And also just the moment where he sat down and he was like, Sloan, like the way he like coached Sloan, and he was like, I'm pissed at you. But like, he really, I mean, I honestly have had respect for Dane since all the shit with, was it Varish?
Yes, he killed Varish. Yeah. No, I think that's where the arc began.
Yes, and I understand their like hesitancy because like obviously he did some fucked up shit, but to me it was like he didn't know in the moment how fucked up it actually was. Like it was coming from his father, and it was like the second it clicked for him what was going on, he was like, fuck this, I'm with the good guys.
Yeah.
And again, like I understand having to be a little cautious. People, I mean, Panja, like I'm just, and like they mentioned earlier in the book that like they assumed there was a traitor somewhere. But I did not see that coming.
No, I literally, so I put a few tabs as I was reading. This tab is my favorite one, and it's Dane speaking to Sloan. And when he was just like, eyes here, I was like, huh? And I was literally reading it, and then she said, I'm going to hurt you. And he said, gods, don't I know it? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Are they? Like a... So I caught a vibe.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
They're setting it up for sure. Yeah, okay. Another enemies to lovers type of vibe, because she also like, you know, she asks him something, or he asks her something, and she's like, fuck you. And like it's like, oh, I love that. And it's also supposed to be a bit of a foil between Xaden and Violet, because Sloan is a first year, he's a third year wing leader, same vibe from the first book. So yeah, they're definitely setting that up. And honestly, I'd rather take a full Dane and Sloan story at this point, because I said this to you even I think last week, that I was like, this isn't a spoiler, but like Xaden needs to get it the fuck together, because I was getting sick of it. I was just like, stop, enough, get over it.
It's so like, again, like the whole book I was like, we couldn't have gotten over this like 5 chapters in and like moved on. Like there's so much other important shit going on. And it was just like, they were both like, Xaden was being so negative and just like brooding and not communicating and doing all this shit. Like, I get you're scared, but then Violet was also in like severe denial. And they were both just like here. And I was like, we can't talk about we can't come to any compromise or like do something.
I'm not a fan of the miscommunication trope thing. And in the first book, I kind of was understanding it because they were very new in their relationship. We're on book fucking 3.
Yep.
We should know by this point how to communicate with one another. And I'm just over it.
And also, like, I feel like that's why I'm very, very intrigued with where their relationship is. Like, they're literally married. They love each other. The way he talks about her when he's like actually open about his feelings.
So good.
Cuts me wide open. Like, it's beautiful. But then also, like, and they really touch on it in this book. Like, Violet literally says at one point, like, is it toxic? Yeah. Do I love him? Yeah. Like, she fully is like, I know this is toxic. And everyone kind of starts like, she's weaker because of you. You're weaker because of her. Like, you're always going to choose her. She's always going to choose this. Like, you're fucking everyone by being so obsessed with each other. Yeah. And so I feel like they're really opening that door. So again, like, I'm curious at where it goes.
Yeah. And it's just, there's also so many theories from back when I was first reading Fourth Wing. I had heard some things about how Rebecca Yarros said that Xaden and Violet are not endgame. And it's kind of stuck with me. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
But I've heard that through many grapevines. And like every once in a while, I'm like, yeah, all right. Yeah. I could see that. And like it's a very frustrating relationship, but you're 100% correct when you say like when they do talk to each other and when they do have like their moments together, and like obviously it was so, I don't think sweet is the right word, but like obviously they were trying not to be intimate with one another because Xaden didn't want to hurt her. And it's like, okay, like I see you trying to protect her and everything, but then it's like, oh, now we're on this island where there's no magic, and I'm like, oh, I'm so happy, and I'm asking you and Dane about your childhood, and oh, you guys used to ride horses? Like, bro, what the fuck? Like, where are we right now? Like, what is our mindset right now? Can we pick a lane and stick in it? Come on, like, let's go.
Yes. No, the whole thing. And then it was like, I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. I can't hurt you. Da-da-da. And then all his friends were like, okay, well, like, it's really dangerous for you to be anywhere near her. So like, how about we like sleep in separate beds? And he was like, absolutely not. Yeah, and I was like, bro, like,
I'm just like, yeah, okay, well, it's very hypocritical, his way of thinking.
Yes.
Because it's like, yes, I want to protect Violet, but at the same time, I want to be with Violet. And it's like, okay, well, obviously at this point in time, that is not possible.
Yes.
You cannot be with her and protect her at the same time.
And it's so tough because like in the ways that I think are important, he values her. Like when she makes the decision, he just trusts it. Like he sees her as a leader, like he sees her as an equal. And I'm like, that is giving like Reese, like in terms of like good relationships. But then there's so much other shit that comes with them. And I'm just like, and also like, what the fuck? Like he's full on channel now. So it's like they're either gonna find a cure or he dies. Like,
and that was the whole thing too. It's like this whole time it's like, we're trying to find a cure, we're trying to find a cure, we're trying to find a cure. And then like we don't. And I'm like, okay, that's the one thing with the way she paces these books out. It's like when you have to have a front to back book. Mm-hmm. I understand it's a series, but like things need to be solved per book. Like I hate to like say like Harry Potter, because Harry Potter is one of the best series ever written. But like it was determinate, like here's your 1, here is your 2, here's your 3. And I kind of thought that's what this was going to be like with this, because they're in school.
Yes.
So I thought that they were going to be like, okay, we're in we're a first year, and then you're an Iron Flame and you're like, oh, Violet's still technically a first year. Like, how much time has passed between these books? It's like I would like some definitive starts and ends.
Yes.
The story itself is like, I like it. I like the story, and like you said, she writes the characters so well, so I love the characters, and I think that's what brings me back every time is the characters. But like, we need to solve something.
Yes.
We didn't solve anything in this book
Anything.
except for finding Andarna's kind, which honestly didn't even really do anything because the guy just showed up and was like, I lit your flame. Bye.
Right.
We were like, cool. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's like, we could have solved something in this book and then like it still could have ended in the exact same way.
Yeah.
But we got literally nothing and then are left with more questions.
It's like that meme. It's like, hope you're hungry for nothing.
That's Onyx Storm. I hate to say it, I might give this a 3. Out of 5 stars.
When I spoke to Kristen about it, my cousin's wife, I told her 3.8.
Yeah.
I was like, if I had to round up, I would give it a 4, but I don't want to.
Yes.
I don't want to. Honestly, I think so far, if I had to pick out of the 3, I probably liked Iron Flame the most.
Yes.
As of right now. But yeah, no, it's unfortunate because there's still, and like, again, a lot of these tabs are theories I had in the back of my brain that I was like, okay, maybe this is a clue.
Yes.
Like a big thing about with Violet's father right now. It's like that is so up in the air. It's like we needed something else. We needed to find out who Violet's father was in this book or something. Yes. Because all we got were like these little tiny little things, and here's some books and enjoy, and you have to figure it out all on your own. And you're like, but when we didn't even learn anything from the books.
And then it's like we got nothing from the books. We don't know why we have the books. We don't know why they were meant only for her. We really didn't dive into anything about the grandmother other than like she's there. And then also at the end when they're like, oh yeah, she was dedicated. And they were like, no, she was touched. I'm like, what does this shit mean? Like,
I know everybody was talking about like, oh, she was dedicated. And like, I saw like all this stuff on social media and I literally was just like, I don't understand what dedicated means. No, like, I understand the concept. I understand like her being like given to Dune or whatever the fuck. But at the same time, I'm like, can we like get like even just like a passing by where somebody was just like, oh, this means that she belongs to wherever, like, we didn't get that. And it's like, oh, I just
like we needed Riddock to be like, what is, or like they're in fucking school. We couldn't have a chapter of them learning about dedication. Like,
I know, I feel like we're shitting on this book right now, but it's funny because I sat there and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm enjoying this. Yes. But then at the same time, once you're finished with it, you're like, okay, what else?
Exactly. And I think that brings up such a big conversation just of like books in general right now, because I feel like there are so many readers that are just so quick to like shun like the popular book talk books. And it's like, listen, like I love like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is like one of those books where it's like, this is one of the most beautifully written books I've ever, like that's on a completely different level to me. These are still fun. Like you can still read, you can acknowledge that they're kind of shitty, but they're entertaining and that's what it's supposed to be. And it's like, sometimes these are great. Sometimes I want a book that's literally going to rip into my chest, make me question my entire life and kill me. Like there are times where I want that and I want literature and I want something well written, but there's nothing wrong with these two. And I feel like people are like, ooh, like people get a little too prissy when it comes to it. And it's like, you can read, same thing with like we talk about it with like the Frida McFadden and the Colleen Hoover, like there can be fun books.
Yeah. It's like, not everything has to be so serious.
Yes.
Like, you can enjoy a book that not everybody else enjoys. It's okay. And I
Yes.
did. And like this, I am a little sad that we're gonna have to wait so long because I'm gonna forget everything in the next
Yep.
2 years. I don't even know where my life is gonna be in the next 2 years. It's like that's a long time.
Yes.
That is a long time. Like our both of our lives are going to be drastically different by the next time this next book comes out.
That's
Which
like
is kind of crazy to
insane.
think about. Yeah. I did take a screenshot because I thought it was interesting. I don't know how familiar you are with like the story of Star Wars, but somebody was saying how Xaden and Anakin are like basically the same character, and I was like, oh. And then I just took a screenshot, and it was like marry against the rules because Anakin married Padme, and the establishment tries to control them, and they don't trust them, and then they turn to the dark side to save their women and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, this is like a blueprint literally of Star Wars, at
Yeah.
least the prequels. Um, but and then of course now something actually I might have said this last week too, but I'll just say it again. Um, this book is a screenplay. It's
Yes.
this book is so drastically different than the first two because they're making a Fourth Wing TV show. And while I'm going to watch it, like
It's gonna be
absolutely,
such good TV.
it needs to be picked up by like HBO or Apple TV or whatever to make sure like that it's like up here in terms of like the way that it's created. But this was the start. This was in the back of Rebecca Yarros' mind, whether she meant it to be or not. This is a screenplay,
Yes.
and I read it a completely different way than I did the first two books.
Yes. No, I completely agree. Yeah, because the first, like, I talked to you about this with Fourth Wing, and I rated Fourth Wing and Iron Flame both 4 out of 5
Yep.
stars.
Okay,
I
that
thought
sounds.
they were, yeah, I thought they were great, but just not phenomenal. And then Iron Flame, or no, Fourth Wing, I struggled with in the middle just because it was that constant back and forth. And that's just not, I know people love that. That's personally not my style. Like, I like a little enemies to lovers, but I can't do a whole book of the back and forth with like nothing. I'm like, give me plot, like, give
Yeah.
me something else.
Mhm.
I get bored, but then I loved it. And I completely hear what you're saying because Fourth Wing, like, I didn't love the storyline in the middle, but like the visuals, everything, like like I was like, I still felt very intensely about it, even though I wasn't like, I was kind of like, okay, like let's go.
Mhm.
And this, I was just like, okay, let's go. Like
Yeah.
it was like I was like, I don't really know where we are. Things are just kind of happening. There's no rhyme
Yeah.
or reason. And again, it was like we weren't giving anything. It was just like you were constantly finding out more without getting anything.
I think it would have made a significant difference if there was more information given to us on the people and the places and so on and so forth. Because
Yes, it felt rushed.
yeah, and the front page, where is it? Has like a little like setup of like whose dragon is who and what their signet is, and like at the bottom it gives you like the world leaders. I went back to this page probably 20 times
Yep.
because I kept forgetting, okay, so there's like several kings and several princes and this and that and who's where and who rules what. And
Yes.
then, you have the audacity to give us this map, and then we spend what, 100 pages on the Isles? Where are they?
Yep.
Where are the Isles? I don't know. I understand that we're in like a warm climate and like, everything, but I'm like, I'm looking at Navarre and nothing else.
Yes.
So
No,
I wanted
also
to know where the Isles were.
there was also that queen that died and everyone like freaked out for 10 pages
Yeah.
and then she was never discussed again. I was like,
Yeah.
is this a big deal? Like,
And like Violet fought her,
yes.
and like that was kind of glazed over a bit. It's like, what does
It-
that mean?
yep.
It-
No, I understand, and this wasn't even a spoiler, but I saw a TikTok like right before I started reading it that was like, this is her worst writing yet. And I was like,
yeah.
oh, great.
Yeah.
And now I understand that take, and I think I agree.
I'm so interested in her other books
And we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
This is her first take at fantasy.
Right.
So her other books, I actually looked, they're highly rated, but I'm pretty sure they're just like romance books.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
But like
no,
real people.
they're probably very good.
Yeah.
I would assume.
I'm very interested in reading. I have too much on my plate right now to like read them. There's too much that I want to read, but eventually maybe like if they're just romance, like maybe as a vacation book.
Yeah.
If I ever vacation again, I'm like really scared to fly anymore.
Girl, I'm getting on an airplane next week. Very, very short flight. I'm going to Maine to go see my grandma. So it's like an hour flight. But yeah, yesterday I see the fucking Delta plane is upside down on a
another one crashed today in Arizona. So
okay.
Give me your flight info because I have a flight app and I track everyone's flights now. And I literally, Brian was on a bachelor trip. I watched his plane the entire way there. I was like, this is my favorite game.
Yeah, I will, because I literally like, thank God we're not going like across the country or anything like that. Like it's literally an hour flight. It's not far at all, but like I'm scared.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok yesterday that was like, oh, I think you need a forehead kiss. And then he goes, another plane just crashed. And it was like his way of like warming you into it. And it was like awful, but like, it's like, what the hell is going on? And this is, you know what? Give me a dragon at this point.
Yeah, I would. Ooh, it's absolutely crazy.
Also, did you notice a typo?
No.
Is there a dragon Tain? T-A-I-N?
T-A-I-N? I don't think so.
Wait, open to page 473.
Okay, Snape.
No, literally, I was like, I feel like
473. Okay.
Look, and then it says, Molvik has been spotted along the cliffs. Tain warns.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck is Tain?
No, that's Tarn.
Yeah, that's a typo.
That's crazy. Yeah, because it continues on. And, you know, I will say one part that I did really like in terms of like the toxicity of their relationship was when Halden shows up. And he like walks in there and he thinks he's hot shit because he's Prince and whatever. And he's like, you know, oh, Violet, like, ew, we should go get dinner and this and that. And Zayn's just like, what the fuck? No. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll let this one slide because this part, yeah, it was good.
If they were like a little toxic, fine. I'd fully support it.
Right.
But at this point, they're just blatantly annoying. Like,
yeah. I'm glad that there was some redeeming characters. Kat's grown on me a lot.
Yes.
Marin has grown on me a lot.
I liked Marin from when they were walking together. She seemed like a real one.
Yeah. And then obviously Riddick just
is phenomenal.
It was just wonderful. But like even like Mira's kind of pissing me off because she's being all secretive and she's like, oh, my dad didn't leave me books. And it's like, well, bitch, it's because you weren't gonna be a scribe.
Yes.
Like
the overarching theme for this whole world is no one talks to each other about anything.
No. And I feel like Dane Atos is us as readers. Like I feel like Dane is like, oh, I'm in this world and I'm having a great time. But also what the fuck is going on? And you're like, I think that's why I like him so much now, because I'm just like, you're so real for that, where he's just like, what the fuck are you doing? And you're like, I don't even know what's going on. So I'm in the same boat as you, Dane.
It's so funny that you say that because that's so true. And then also I feel like Riddock is like in the book is like the comedic voice.
Right.
But then he's also the only one with a voice of reason.
Yeah.
Like 100% of the time, like he literally looked at Violet at one point and was like, why the fuck are you lying again?
Yeah.
He was like, we went through this already. We are better together. no one gives a fuck about whatever you lie about. Like, no one cares. So just be honest. And she's still like, ooh, I can't tell anyone this. And it's like, you have the most loyal friends in the entire world. Can you just open your eyes and your mouth, honestly?
You know what was interesting? You know, I wanted more Sawyer too, because we did not get enough Sawyer and his journey with his new leg. But I did love when he gets on his dragon, Riddick is like, hugs for everyone. And even like I think it's Imogen. She's just like, don't fucking touch me. And he's like, nope, hugs for everyone.
Yes.
But like we did not get enough Sawyer. And I just saw a TikTok maybe yesterday or the day before. I don't remember this. I don't know if you remember this because you read it so recently, but like Rhiannon slept with both of them at some point in Fourth Wing.
Sawyer and Riddock?
Not together, but like because she kind of went through like her little phase where she was just like, I'm doing whatever I want. Yeah. And I did not remember that at all. But apparently everybody was just like someone was just like, does anyone remember that Rhiannon slept with Riddick? And then somebody in the comments was just like, yeah, she slept with Sawyer too. And I was like, what?
I feel like I remember Riddock, but I don't remember Sawyer.
Yeah, I don't know. I could have been gaslit by TikTok in that respect, but I was just like, oh shit, I did not remember that whatsoever.
Damn, and she's also bi.
Yeah.
It proves our theory. Everyone is bi or on the spectrum until proven otherwise.
Or both.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, it's proven by this point. But yeah. Yes. I'm a lot of these markings in here that I mentioned before are about Violet's dad, and how I heard that the theory is that Violet's dad is Malik. Mm-hmm. And there were several times in here where I was like, like I saw there was a correspondence. The correspondence at the top of the chapters is so important sometimes. Yes. That I was like in Fourth Wing, I would skip over it and I had to go back and reread them. Yes. Because I was like, this is actually so incredibly important.
And then also even the way they're like recovered correspondence. So it's like at the end, like, are we going to get like a glimpse in the future of like how this was like history for the, like, I am confused.
Yeah, I think that, I forget what she said, but she does, Rebecca Yarros has mentioned the unsent correspondence and how it's supposed to foreshadow things and how it's like supposed to set things up, which is why you're supposed to read them. But I didn't know that. But I don't know which tab it is, but there was a tab where like it's like correspondence from her mom to her dad, to Violet's dad, mm-hmm. and like she's talking to him after he's died.
Yes.
Like, and it's like it's giving me vibes of like prayer, because these are all gods that they're praying to. And I was just like, is she praying to him? And then I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then did you realize he's got another last name? Asher something else? Because I saw there was a second Asher in there and everybody was just like, yeah, that's the same person. He is not just a Sorrengail. I gotta find it.
Wait, because I picked up on that too, because I was like, why are there two Ashers?
Yeah, it's her dad. Oh yeah, this one is from the Journal of Captain Lilith Sorrengail. Asher returned today. Gods help us if anyone finds out. I'm not sure I'll ever forgive him for what he's done to her.
So is that the touching?
I don't know. Oh yeah, maybe. These need a reread.
And then also the silver hair, and then also, oh my god.
Oh. Yeah, go ahead.
And this pissed me off too. This is literally, we spent this entire podcast shitting on this book, and I liked it. Like,
I know we've been talking for 40 minutes about this. I'm so sorry. Literally, we had nothing else planned for today, so sorry to anybody else who was expecting.
Wait, but also when they were in Umbriel, and she was like, they have silver hair. Like, I wonder if that explains like why my bones break so easy. And I was like, yes. We've literally never fucking talked about that. And that bothered me so much in Fourth Wing. I was like, what's wrong with her that her knee just fucking shatters?
Yeah. Like they like mentioned it in passing in this book, and I was just like, why?
Yes, and then they never brought it up, so I was just like, "Oh, she's just fragile and doing crazy shit," and I never thought anything of it. And then it's like clearly there's some underlying health issue with her that just never actually gets discussed.
I was really, really pissed about that because that was a huge deal while she prepared for the parapet in the
Yep.
first book.
Yep.
And then that never happens again. And like, yeah, every once in a while she gets hurt, but not in like a way that's like outlandish. That's like, oh my
No.
God, she's gonna die.
But she's constantly like, "Oh, is my knee wrapped? I did this, so my knee." So it's like clearly she's aware, and like the way Dane reacted, and the way Mira, and the way like everyone knows that there's something medically wrong with her. Nolan, and it's like, why are we on book 3 and we still don't have any sort of a clue?
I'm just gonna look this up because I know for a fact that there was a second Sorrengail other name. Daxton. And at one point I think someone says you're Daxton's daughter or Asher Daxton's daughter, and she was like, yeah. And like doesn't even say like that's a weird thing to call my dad. So like she obviously knows about it.
No, I'm sorry. There are also so many times where Violet again is so dumb. What's that face for? What did you just
His
discover?
original surname. So does he take I'm just thinking. That was my thinking phase. Maybe he took Lilith's last name. Maybe Lilith, when they got married, instead of Lilith taking his last name, he took hers. Because it does say his original surname is
Oh, so then
Daxton.
maybe, yeah.
But like, why don't we talk about that? Why
Yeah,
don't we bring that up?
there are a lot of areas where a little bit more education would be. And again, the setting is in a school. Do you know, like Harry Potter used that to their best advantage? If it's like, hey, we're gonna use these, and they sometimes like in Battle Brief, like there were so many moments where I was like, okay, I'm getting it, I'm getting it. But then all the war start, and like there still needs to be some informing because like I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
I feel like they like never go to school either, which
They
is
don't.
so funny.
They
It's like
like
when they
went to school for what, like
4
100 pages
chapters.
in this book?
Maybe. Maybe. Like, and it was just Battle Brief. They
Yes.
were never in any other class. And I'm like, "Do we don't we have something else that we like?" And then they're just like, "Oh, yeah, you're going off on this thing," and then Zayden's just like, "Oh, guess what? I'm a professor now, and then we can't be together because also Dane's dad is, like, the worst person in the world." How the fuck did Dane's dad even get this job? Who allowed him to take this position after everything that was going on last year? Like, it just again, and I just think that it would just and I understand that they are, like, only 3 years in this college or whatever, but, like, make it put it in years. I just think it would make it a lot easier to just, like, remember when things happen based on just timing of the books because they just bleed into one another. I mean,
That's
Fourth Wing ends with her figuring out about Brennan. Iron Flame starts in the exact same spot,
yes.
which is nice when you're reading all the way through. I don't I don't know.
No, I agree. And even like thinking back, like I can't honestly, transparently right now, and again, I just finished, so I'm processing. I can't even remember exactly where this one started. I can obviously look, but
I don't remember either, to be
let's see.
quite honest with you. Well, we've discovered oh, she's going to go see Jack. That's where it starts. She's going down to the dungeon to go talk to Jack.
Oh, yes.
And he just also kind of got forgotten about. Did he die?
They like
No.
brought him in a chest to
I don't think I even realized.
and then they were like, get him out of here, take the chest with him in it. Because I was like, okay.
I don't think I even realized. I think I lost track of Jack. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where
Yeah,
he is.
because they Thermopylae, whatever her name is. What's her
Theophany?
name? Theophany, yes.
Or Theophany, yeah.
I don't know. The way I read the names in my head is like, and like that's how I get through.
Yeah, that's fine.
And yeah, so she was like, bring the brother. And then they were like, it's Jack because of the venom. And then they were like, she was like, oh, they showed up. But again, no context. That's why I almost missed it. I was like, who showed up? They were like, oh, they got here just in time. And then they dropped the chest. And then they were just like, he knows things that she doesn't want us to know. So grab him. And then they literally just took the chest and left. And that was it.
Pause. I don't remember this at all.
Yeah.
Literally, I might have been skimming at that point. The last like 50 pages or so, I was just like, what the like, and the battle scenes, unless it's like written really well, I usually fly through those. Unfortunately, I'm sure like there's so many cool things that I could envision, but like this I could read. The war scene in Wings and Ruin, awesome. Could keep up, knew where I was.
Exactly. I was going to say that's the difference.
And I wonder if it's just because of the medium, like they're on dragons. It's like we got to keep up with the fact that they're and then Tarn's talking and Violet's talking, and then she's like relay this information to Sigale and who and Molvik and whoever else, and then it's like translating almost, and yeah. And you mentioned the silver hair thing before too. That was something else that I was like, I guess it had to do with Dune. But like,
and like that, I understand. Like again, that's a door that could be left open for book 4. But it's like I'm pissed now that we didn't, because again, we got no answers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, now I'm just really mad because it's like I got no closure or nothing. Like it's the point where like I can't even have a theory because I don't even know what's going on.
There are
so many unanswered storylines.
Yeah, the only like answers that we got apart from Andarna was the second signets. And then even after we find out that about Violet's second signet and then Andarna leaves, and then I'm like, did she lose it? Or does she still have it? Or does she keep it? Like, I don't know. And then Andarna comes back and I'm like, okay, I guess that wasn't that important, but
Wait, and then also, but Adarna left, and then she was in Xaden's dream.
Right.
She was like, how the fuck?
Yeah, and then I was just like, so like, even though she's not there anymore, like, and like, but then at first I was like, okay, this makes sense because they're still connected, and then I was like, no, they're not. They severed the bond. She could not hear Andarna anymore. I don't know. I don't know. It's just there's a lot. And I definitely think you will have more time to process it with social media. Like I was saying, like it just you get more information from people than you do from the book. So
that is 100% going to be the rest of my evening.
Yeah.
Because I've scrolled past so many just because I saw yours. All I saw was the word Dane, and I was like, can't watch that yet.
Yeah, no, that wasn't a spoiler anyway. It was just me like saying I want to talk about Dane Atos.
Yes.
On a Storm, and no one else wants to talk about Dane with me.
I'll talk about Dane. I agree with you.
I don't know why all of a sudden like I'm like really into him.
Theory. They were, remember in the I said theory and my Siri went off. Remember when they were in the bookshop and we talked about this last week and they were like, oh, that's your husband, Dane. What if they actually end up together?
I saw something else when I heard all the information about Xaden and Violet not being endgame. People were just like, oh, it's actually Dane. And everybody was like, Vom, because like it was before, I think it was like either pre book 2 or maybe book 2 had just come out and people still didn't really like him that much. I think he deserves better. Sorry, Violet.
I think he was conflicted.
I wonder if it'll turn to like a weird love triangle with like her and Sloane
and also like the fact that Dane likes Sloane is because Sloane reminds me so much of Violet.
Are we no, wait. Oh, no, there was like a marriage certificate. I was gonna say, are we completely positive that Violet and Xaden are married? But no, they are married for sure, I
Yeah.
think,
And
right?
because she said, yeah, there was a marriage. I mean, is it fake? Like, again, but there's 12 hours missing that we're 100% in the dark about.
Yeah.
And then also, like, that just confuses me so much, though, because, like, if he was, like, full on Venom, how the fuck did they, like, get together and get married? And that, like, that's
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, and I think Xaden's dad is the sage. I thought that might be coming up in this book, and that didn't happen, but
also, I thought we killed the sage. Is there more than one sage?
yeah, I guess so. I don't really know. He's like in the dreams now, and
Yeah.
like the dreams are real. So I don't know.
Yeah,
She's
the,
dead though. Theophany is dead, right?
yes,
Yeah.
apparently.
Who even knows?
Genuinely, who even knows?
The fact that Brennan came back is it's just a portal for anyone to come back, I think.
But people do. She is not afraid to kill off characters.
I know, which I feel like usually they're a little not apprehensive about it, but like they'll pick and choose. But no, she just kills everybody.
Um, yeah,
She
she
just
really
kills everybody.
does.
I just yeah, it's I mean, I think for me, Lilith was the hardest death so far, from Iron Flame.
I'm trying.
But yeah, no, I'd say she's the hardest death.
I think
It
she's
is
right
big.
up there. Liam killed me.
Oh yeah, right. Fuck. I forgot
I
about
still have not like every time she's like
how
Liam.
could I forget?
When Sloane showed up and she was like, "I'm so sorry, Liam," I was like, "Liam's dead." Like we're 3 books in and I still can't process Liam.
Did you see like my trauma come out there? I just completely blocked out the fact that Liam is dead.
Yeah,
Because in my brain, Liam's still alive.
Liam.
People think that Liam's still alive because they think that he was actually in the cell with Violet in Iron Flame, and that he wasn't a hallucination. I don't know how that theory works, but that is some things that people have said that Liam is out there somewhere.
I would love it, but it's like they watched him die.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the other theory, figuring we're just going to finish off this episode with
Yeah.
Onyx Storm. Yeah, there's no reason to talk about anything else.
This episode is our Onyx Storm therapy session.
Yeah. That'll be the title of
Yeah.
this episode. So people keep talking about how Xaden's eyes are, they're onyx with gold flecks,
Mhm.
right? That's like how they're described. And then
Yes.
as he's channeled, they turn to amber. Everyone's big theory is that Brennan has been Venom this entire time because he has amber eyes. And that's why Xaden went to him for help.
I could get behind that.
And I feel
Because also he just like didn't freak out at all when he found out.
yeah, like Brennan has secrets that we don't know about yet, that I don't even think Violet as the narrator even realizes that Brennan has secrets.
Yes, and honestly, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but like I feel like the way Brennan and like his death was described in the first book, and then it's like you realize he's going to come back to life. Like I thought they would have a much more meaningful connection than they do. And I understand there were like a lot of lost years, but yeah. And then every time him and Mira are together, they're just fighting. And I'm just like I don't have any, like, I don't have as much emotional connection to Brendan as I feel like I should.
Yeah. I feel like when Brennan came back, I was ready to like latch on and
Yes.
yes, like this is Violet's brother and all this stuff, and he's so important, and he plays an important role, but at the same time I'm like, oh, here's Brennan. All right, Brennan is here. Oh, Xaden, he went to go talk to Brennan, and then also you think about it, Xaden knows Brennan better than Violet.
Oh, 100%.
He's known him longer.
And also, Xaden is keeping so much more from Violet than we even know.
And it's like, it all just goes back to the miscommunication and the non-communication and this and that and the other thing. And you're like, what? For protection at this point, like, just don't be together.
Yep.
It doesn't, if this is how many things you have to keep from your significant other in order to protect them, then at that point you should no longer be together.
Preach. Preach. And it's like the craziest thing about it is he knows. Oh, also, one thing we literally did not discuss at all, Auric.
Oh! Auric is like a huge part of this book.
Like, absolutely massive. The most, quite literally, the fact that we're 55 minutes in and we have not discussed him proves he is one of the most important, but also the most underrated character, because every moment where they were like, oh, we're fucked, he's like, no, I actually got it. And then in the end, he saves Violet single-handedly, and we find out about his crazy signet that he was keeping a secret for obvious reasons. And I have no idea where did we leave off with Halden? Oh, he's like issuing a war against Terrandor?
Yes.
Why? Yes. Don't you guys have enough war going on? Now you're gonna fight each other?
I think he's just not a good leader.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah. But I did think it was interesting that, like, you know, we really glossed over the fact that, like, they had this whole quest squad thing, right? And like Halden was so important to be there because he had to be there because he's royalty and that's who they have to talk to. And then Eric's just like, actually, you don't even need to be here. And he was like, oh, okay. And then like
also,
he just like accepted it and was just like, yeah, okay.
And then also none of the other Isles like asked for a prince or any, like they were all just like, let me talk to Violet. And I was like, what was the whole point of literally all of that? There were so many side quests in this that, again, it could have been a novella with the last 200 pages to set up the last an email. It could have been an email.
We could have got put on an email chain. No, it was, and like everybody was talking about how much they liked his character and everything, and like there was definitely a few points like when he like actually knows how to speak all the languages and Dane's like struggling and he's like, actually I can just speak this fluently. Yes. But like everybody's just like, oh my god, Eric's so hot, Eric's so hot. I'm like, I don't know enough about Eric to have an opinion on him.
I definitely like him, and I'm
I don't dislike him,
but I'm also very, because also Dane was like, when the hell, and then Violet was like, when we were reading all those books in different languages, you didn't think to be like, hey, I can speak everything fluently. He was like, you didn't ask. And I was like, bitch, like you showed up here to save the world. You abandoned everything to do that. And it's like, you're not going to tell anyone anything. Like, I understand the signet, that I totally get, because he could have been killed on the spot. But everything else, I was like, lend a helping hand, brother. Like,
so his signet is like General Malgren's, but he can see everything, right?
Everything. And like in the moment it happens, it seems like.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah. I like understood the fact that he could see, but I don't think I really processed what that means.
Yes.
That's, yeah. And like I also like I understood why he needed to change his name. And then I love that we're just like sticking with this name change, even though his name is Cam and everyone knows he's Cam, but we're still calling him Eric.
Yeah.
Like, why? I don't know. Maybe not everybody knows yet, but at that point, I feel like it's pretty out in the open.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've ended every sentence with I don't know.
It's absolutely out in the open because the king pardoned them because he found out he was alive. That's why they never got in trouble.
And then, and then all the security guards are walking around with him.
Yes.
Yeah. So what? I don't know. I don't know.
This entire book just left us more confused than we were going into it. And now we have to wait 2 fucking years to get some answers.
I feel like I'm going to forget about this. And then one day, Rebecca Yarros is going to be like, here's book 4. And I'm going to be like, oh, okay. I like literally I feel like if I like read book 4 when it comes out without any prep, it would be like reading a brand new book.
It absolutely would. I think I'll probably, as it gets closer, 2 years down the road, 600 plus days.
Yeah.
I'll probably do like audiobooks while I'm
Mm.
driving just to like refresh. And then I loved your idea of just like watching the in-depth YouTube videos.
They were very helpful.
Yeah. I may go watch them now because I'm very
sure
lost.
by this point too, I mean, the book has been out for almost a month. I'm
Mhm.
sure there's so much content out now about like the book in full and the series as a whole
Yeah.
that people have created at this point that you could just sit down and watch, yeah, like a 2-3 hour video of everyone just explaining everything because people do like the people who love this series, like they delve into it and they take every single little word and they're like, this is what this means, this is what this means. And I'm like, oh, see, I had no idea about any of this.
Yeah.
So it's very helpful for the people who like sit down and like really delve into it because it's important to understand this book, which you shouldn't need. You
No.
shouldn't need, but
I
here
should
we
be
are.
able to close a book and at least like have some sort of understanding as to like why things are happening.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
feel
We
like
should all be on the same page when we finish. Although I did do the double take where I flipped the page and it said acknowledgments and I went,
Yep. I was like, wow. To wrap up here, what
yeah.
are you currently reading or what's next on your list?
I am a little over halfway through The Cruel Prince right now.
Okay.
Very good. Really enjoying it. Really easy to read. After coming off of this, so easy to read.
I love that.
And it's just like again, fantasy book, fantasy series. It is a 3-book series, and I do have all 3 books, so I will be reading them all back to back. But like, it's just a fairy world, and it's like that's really all you need to know. And there's a bunch of characters, and you should keep track of them.
Yeah.
But I've noticed I don't like the beginning of any fantasy book that I've read.
Never.
They're so boring and I hate them, and it took me a long time to get through the beginning of Cruel Prince, but now that I'm, like, really in the mix, it's so easy to sit down and read, like, 100 pages.
Yes.
So
No, I remember when we went on our when me and Brian went on our Cancun vacation and I brought 2 just like thriller of The Housemaid by Frida McFadden and Every Summer After, which is just like a normal teen romance. And I was like, I read The Housemaid in a day. And
yeah.
I was like, I forgot that I could do this because fantasy is just so different. But Goodreads, are you still using Goodreads at all right now? Or are you
No.
just
I don't even have the app on my phone, I'm only on Fable.
Well, Goodreads, they changed their reading goal structure. The
Oh.
one thing or the reading challenge that they do. So I set my goal is 20 every single year. The 2022 when I like really got back into reading intensely, I read 24 books and the last 2 years I've read 21 books. So I've hit it. The only thing I hate that they changed, you can't check on your friends' challenges anymore. You can't even see their goal, which
Oh.
is so much because I'm driven by competition. So it triggers me, but also they got me in another way because I'm also driven by reward, and they're doing this thing where it's like you can collect bookmarks. And so like up until April, not actual like digital bookmarks.
I was like, they send you bookmarks in the mail?
But basically, if I leave one of these bookmarks unchecked, I'll never be able to live with myself. So basically, it's like from January to April, there's like 6 bookmarks that you can collect. And it's like you have to read certain books from these categories.
Oh, that's
and so
cool.
I'm reading one that obviously for February, it's Black History Month. So I'm going to read An Academy for Liars, which is like a dark academia fantasy standalone. That's written by a Black author, and I'm really, really excited about it.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it is. On Goodreads, it has like I think just under 4 stars, which I'm kind of like a snob. Like if a book doesn't have 4 stars, I'll be like, I'm not reading it. But I went on TikTok and I saw so many people that were like, I devoured this. So I'm very excited.
That's like a nice way to like get out of your comfort zone and like read things that you wouldn't even think about reading.
Exactly. There's one on here that's like a historical fiction, which I ate hands down when I was like in middle school, high school. That was the only genre I read.
Yeah.
Holocaust, you name, like I was
Holocaust books are I don't know what it is about them, but they're always so good.
They always phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's one on there that I'm gonna read. But yeah, there's a few that I'm like very excited for. Because again, I wouldn't have necessarily picked it myself. So shout out Goodreads. But yeah, so that's one I'm gonna read next. An Academy for Liars.
So so Onyx Storm was the only one that you were working on like right now?
Yes.
Cool.
Now I'm done. That was my 4th book of the year.
Nice. Cruel Prince will be my 6th.
What the fuck? You're flying.
I include my audiobooks, to be fair.
Oh, okay.
But I have been listening to one book for quite some time. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
Wait, I thought you were liking that.
Oh, I love it. I'm just not finished with it yet.
Okay.
It actually was like a lot longer of a book than I was anticipating it to be. It's like it was like 16 hours. And so like I read it, I like listen to it like on the bus. So like that's like 45 minutes and like like things. So I've been reading it in increments, but it's so good. And like I'm finally at like the point where like I know shit's about to go down. And I'm so excited.
That has been on my TBR pile for a very long time.
I'm not finished with it yet, so I can't say that I recommend it quite yet, but it's like everything. I just love a good murder mystery.
I know.
That is like my vice. I just love murder mysteries. That's actually one of my another thing on my TBR is The Murder of Mr. Wickham. I don't know if you've heard of that one. There's 2 books and I'm like sitting there, I'm not thinking about it, but meanwhile I'm like reading all these series and I'm like, one day I'll read this book and I know I'm gonna love it, but it's just a matter of time. Maybe I'll listen to it.
Oh my God. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on our Onyx Storm therapy session. We recommend the book, we recommend the series. However, we did just spend an hour shitting on it. It's still very good. I'm going to give it a 3.5. So on Goodreads, it's going to be a 3, but it's definitely 3.5, like that in between 3 and 4. And yeah, I'll keep you updated on my reading journey. Sam will keep you updated on hers, and we will be back next week. If you liked this episode, it's going to be a very limited episode just because it was such a niche topic for the literal entire thing. But make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to us here on the YouTube channel. Follow us on all of our socials. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at the Unsolicited_podcast, and then on Twitter at Sam and Jordyn. And then, of course, we are also available wherever you get your audio podcast. We've been talking for an hour and 8 minutes. Love you guys, and we'll be back next week.
Bye.
Bye.